Okay, well, hi everyone. Thank you very much for joining us. My name is Ben Bowert, CEO at Facilitate, and co-presenting with me is Philip Saylor, our Chief Experience Officer.
Hello.
So we've got some very exciting news to share with you today. As you can tell by the title of this intro session, today we're really going one step further to empowering creators that are passionate about bringing the most impactful and engaging content to their learners. So next slide, thanks, Tessa. So before we go into details about the changes, for those of you who aren't too aware about Facilitate, we just wanted to give a very quick rundown. So in summary, Facilitate is a creation suite dedicated to enabling the rapid creation of experiential learning content. It's a no-code product that provides a set of market-leading creation and distribution tools for this kind of interactive and immersive content. So in Facilitate, you can create a wide variety of learning modalities that leverage VR headsets, desktop learning, 360 media and 3D graphics in synchronous and asynchronous environments. So we take learning pedagogy very seriously, and this is why Facilitate has been described as a learning designer's dream, because of the flexibility that it can provide trainers, educators, and subject matter experts to really maximize the use of experiential learning without any coding skills. So currently, in addition to the main standalone headset providers, we're working with a range of customers and partners who are creating content, really, from education and vocational training through to healthcare and industrial training. So next slide, thanks, Tessa. So this is just a short snippet of Facilitate in action, showing the view of our interactive 360 media editor. It allows you to add hotspots of a variety of types, and then for the learner to actually go in and, in this example, it's a hazard identification. So now this is showing the micro simulation editor that allows you to create steps and interactions for the learners to follow. Can either be free roam, sort of exploration of an object, for example, a skeleton here, or it can actually be a sequence of tasks that a learner or a trainee has to go through. Basically now we're introducing our newly evolved licensing option, the Facilitate Creator License. This new license can be purchased either on a monthly or annual basis, with a 30% education or not-for-profit discount also available. It can be purchased in addition to or separately from our existing active user licenses, which are for organizations that need to administer their learners. But it will also give access to some core features that have been specifically developed to meet the needs of creators. So the two editors we just showed you before, the interactive 360 editor and the micro simulation editor, they'll both be accessible for the creator licenses. Additionally, because a number of creators are developing content for their own customers and clients, they will also have access to content sharing capabilities. So this really gives you the option to select which of your customers can access which learning experiences that you've created, essentially enabling you really to build a fully scalable, immersive learning business by the system. So finally, the creator licenses, they give you the ability to use raw 360 images and video files, either in live group training or sequenced on-demand learning experiences as well. So we're also introducing a specific proof of concept pricing option, and this can be offered to your clients for their use of Facilitate when their learners consume content that you create. So, we've seen many times now that a high degree of certainty around costs is incredibly important for organizations that are taking their first steps with immersive learning. And this really is the rationale for this approach. So in summary, the proof of concept price, it's just a flat 3,000 Aussie dollar or 2,000 US dollar price for up to a 6-month period with unlimited learner access to content that you create. Next, so creator licenses will also have 40 gigs of storage data with additional data purchasable at a very affordable rate if and when that's ever needed. And then finally, this this last point is a good segue into the slides coming up. But with creator licenses, if your organization has no need to purchase active users because you are only creating and distributing content to others, but you're not actually consuming that content for learning, then you don't need to actually purchase any active user licenses. So next slide, thanks Tessa. So this is just quickly showing you our new pricing page, how this works. So as you can see, there's really flexibility. You can have as many active users or as many creative licenses as you like, or you can have no active users if you have no need for that. So yeah, we're really, what we're trying to do is provide as much flexibility and respond to what customers in the market are telling us that they require. So you just saw there's monthly and annual options as well. And yeah, the education and not-for-profit discount.
There's also a discount for annual as well if you pay 1 year upfront.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah. And in particular in education, we're getting asked more and more now for multi-year licensing. So for a high volume or multi-year, we're very happy to have a chat about hearing what organizations' needs are there. So next slide, thanks. So really, the background to this creator license. So why have we gone and taken the step? So we found really over the past probably year and a bit, that our pricing model has been very skewed towards customers that wanted to create and consume their own content. So originally, when we were doing a lot of our product discovery work, we spend a lot of time focusing on the needs of L&D teams, really. And hence we built a pricing model based on their learners' use of Facilitate. However, we've had a considerable amount of interest developing from professional learning creators that create to sell, really, as well. So this is coupled really with further insights that end user organizations would often like to, or have the option to outsource the creation of their learning content as well to others. Either by engaging someone to build bespoke content for them, or by purchasing pre-made content, otherwise known as off-the-shelf content. So, I mean, if we really take a step back from things, Facilitate, it enables you to either create or administer learning content. So they're really, two core parts of what the platform does. So what we're doing now is giving the option to our users whether they'd like to do one or both of those things. So essentially, we want to make sure you only ever pay for what you really need, as that point there says. So for us, Facilitate is a platform to enable and empower. It's about doing everything we can to make the life of the creator easier. Ultimately, so the impact of the content that they can develop can be as powerful as possible on the learner. So yeah, that's that slide. I'll hand over to Philip now.
Yeah, great. Thanks for that, Ben. Cool. So what I'll do now is I'll just quickly give you a bit of a flavour just to flesh out a bit who these creators are. So we've got a couple of examples I'll go through. And yeah, hopefully you'll sort of, can see yourself in some of these personas. So they're the three main ones there, just as a group. So agencies and freelance, pretty straightforward, as Ben said.
Oh, yeah, Philip's frozen for a second there. I think his internet will come back in a second. I'll just jump in.
And
there you go.
Oh, I've just got out a little bit. Sorry. Yeah. So with the agencies and freelancers, so as Ben said, they're professional learning developers essentially that creating off the shelf or custom work. So we're getting a lot of interest from e-learning houses that are looking for that next new thing, the next big step, which is it's a pretty natural transition from sort of 2D e-learns into immersive as the next step. Also freelancers, so it's an interesting one. So you get I've got one example of a couple of individuals that have just been in an industry for a very long time. They have a lot of expertise between their ears and they're looking to monetize that, and there's some really creative ways of doing that. So they may not have an RTO, they may not, have all that structure in place just yet, but they're still looking to get some of their knowledge out. So we're seeing some of those guys as well. The middle one, straightforward. This is the bread and butter of L&D in a lot of organisations. So your internal L&D persona that's creating for their organisation, of course, as well as education practitioners, so teachers, vocational education. We're getting a lot of interest for TAFEs and those the likes there, as well as up to higher education. Language learning is one that sticks out a little bit as well in that space. And the last one, student creators. This one's a little bit different. So this is not so much about the output. It's probably more about the journey of creation. So as part of it, students are obviously learning about digital media. So as part of the curriculum there, they may actually be required to create something in an immersive setting. And so we're seeing a lot of interest there for student creators as well. Cool, thanks, Tessa. Yep, so to put some faces to names or some organisations to these sort of groups, we've got the first one is the Chameleon Medal Group. So they are developing nationally accredited training. So they're a group that specialises in human and technology interfaces. So a lot of the human factors stuff, especially with growing automation and sort of digitisation of the workplace. There's a lot of interesting stuff happening between the people that have to interact with technology. So they're putting together a lot of interesting content there. And they're developing it for a TAFE to be delivered on their campus as well. So that's probably an example of the freelancer that's starting to formalise their efforts a lot more and more. So they're individuals with a lot of experience in an industry, and they're coming together to monetize that. The next one is STEMXR, based out of UWA. So they're developing curriculum-aligned science technology material for schools and teachers. So they're using the micro simulations as well as the 360 interactive creator, and they're putting together off the shelf, if you like, content that an educator can grab, and because it's curriculum aligned, they can just pop it straight in wherever it fits for the class. Good. So that's those two. Let's go to the next one, Tessa. Blue Sky Innovations Lab. So this is University of North Carolina out of America. So they've got an interesting little project happening with diversity and equity and inclusion. Quite a hot topic over there at the moment. And they're putting together, again, a 360 video-based project that is teaching these topics to business school students, but also corporate clients. So the Blue Sky Innovations is sort of a little incubator lab they've got there. And they're looking at emotional creating an emotional connection with the learning. That's very, very easy to do with 360 media, because you do feel like you're there, and you get that sense, you get that cringe-worthy sense when people say things they shouldn't say. So that's where it's really quite powerful. So that's a very interesting one. And then Bundle of Rays. So long-standing partner of ours. So they're really, really hitting a lot of runs there with their nursing education. So they're putting together quite a suite of education there. In particular, we've got an interesting sort of customer of theirs that's using facilitators in Northwest Queensland Health Service. So they're very remote up there. And again, the challenge is to get good, high quality education, professional nursing education to these nurses and allied health staff in these remote areas. So essentially they're putting headsets up there and getting the content to them. And again, it's largely 360 media based, that one. So yeah, I think that's all we had on these ones. Yeah, so that gives you a bit of a flavour of some of the partners that are working with us. So I'll move on now to the Facilitate Partner Program. So you don't need to, just to make it clear, you don't need to become a partner and join this program just if you want to use creator licenses. They're separate things, but we thought it was worth mentioning because of all the partners that we've highlighted here, and a lot of our customers that go on to do this sort of long-standing creation for other clients will inevitably join this program. It's quite worthwhile. So I'll let you have a quick read through some of the main points there. I won't go through all of them, but look, the main thrust here is we get that if you're at the bleeding edge of technology, learning technology, it can be a little bit difficult getting clients across the line and making projects happen. There's a lot of uncertainty around how the content is. People understand that immersive content will be better than, say, an e-learn or something, but how much better, and therefore how much more are they willing to pay and effort are they willing to put in? So these are difficult things to navigate. So essentially with our partner program, we're really looking to support you to get up and running, as it says, as quickly as possible. And it includes all those things. I think the key ones to pull out there are the first one, the first project support. So we're really keen on providing you with some initial support to get that initial first project up and running, so you can demonstrate the value to a client. We've also got that proof of concept package that Ben mentioned. So it's kind of like a VR project in a box. Like there's one fee for the client, pay this money, and you can, for 6 months, you get your content and you can try it and you can build the internal use case. And that's it. It's simple. There's no sort of complication around it. The other one is the last one there is the incentives as well. So not only we're doing obviously cross promotion digitally for our partners as well, but there are some attractive licensing discounts and revenue sharing options as well available to our partners. So if you're selling Facilitate licenses, or you're creating content for another client who then ends up using Facilitate to consume that content, there's some attractive incentives there as well to make that worthwhile for you. So look, there's a lot more to this, but yeah, please get in touch. This is just the tip of the iceberg. We're happy to have a bit of a chat and share more with you about the partner program. So let's leave that one there. Have I got everything there, Ben?
Yeah,
that's the main thrust, wasn't it?
The main ones, definitely.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, nothing more for me to add. I hope that's given you a bit of a sense of who our partners are and what they're doing.
Yeah.
So questions, please type them in. I think we've got a chat here, so
yeah,
we'll give you around a couple of minutes. But yeah, please, anything you're wondering about, send it through.
We've got one question here.
Oh yeah.
So how did the content sharing, how does that actually work?
Oh yeah, good one. Yeah, so I mean, without going into too much detail, essentially what we've built is functionality where you can have, say, as a content creator, if you're creating content for a client, you have what's called a master account, and you create the content within that and test it and everything. And once it's ready, you can connect, if you like, a subordinate account, which is your client, okay? And you can then send that content to them. You can push it out to their account, and all they have to do essentially is sign up their account. And once the content appears in their library, they can use it, they can schedule it and consume it how they wish. And that's pretty much straightforward. You can update that content anytime you want. So if they've asked for some revisions or some changes, you can go into your master account, make the revisions, and click update, as it were, and that gets pushed through to their end. So in a nutshell, that's how it works. It's fairly straightforward. Hope that answers that question.
Yeah. So we've got one other question. I don't know. No more have come through. So what level of support do you provide on a first project, and the types of support? Do you want
to take that one, Ben? We had
we were talking about that earlier. The list of types. Did you have access to that now?
Yeah. Do you want to just go back one, Tessa? One slide, and we'll have a quick look. Yeah, so it's 2 hours of consulting support, it says here, for the first project. So essentially, we're offering 2 hours of support per creator license per year. So if your agency has, say, 2 or 3 licenses, then that's the maths on that. And that support really, that can be more or less whatever, within reason, whatever you require and whatever we can help with. So what we get a lot is with the first project, what we've had is that initial storyboarding, learning design piece. The pedagogical principles are more or less the same as with another modality, but there are some differences, especially when you're doing more complex sort of choose your own adventure style in the 360 modality, you do need a little bit to think about a little bit more before you to sort of, prepare that content. So that's a typical example that we can help with. We can get on a call and we can talk through how that might work. I think another one we've heard about is the support around costing of projects. So just getting a bit of insight into what's involved in, say, creating a 5 or 6 minute high impact piece on equity and diversity in 360 video. What's the overall effort that's involved in that? Just for partners to help them price it out to their clients, so they know what sort of line items to put in, as it were. So they're the types of things that we can support with. But yeah, look, we're always we really are keen to make this work for you. So whatever, support you need, just let us know and we'll do our best. Yeah.
We've had a couple more come through. Can the subordinate client accounts then manage sub accounts, employee accounts?
Ooh, good one.
So, I mean,
yes,
certainly.
No.
Yeah, it depends on what you mean. So, as the master account, you can send the content to your client. Then they will have their own organization to then facilitate, and then they can have as many as their own facilitators, their own admins, and their own employees as well. So then they can distribute the content, to each employee, and they can also create groups as well, so they can structure their own account as they like. So you're really just providing them the content, and then they can go and do the administration.
Yeah. Yep. That's right.
We've got a few more coming through.
Couple more.
So thanks, Steve. So are we able to opt in and out as needed? We may have periods where we are creating content, and then periods with none.
As in the creator license, I assume, or the creation portion is. Yeah, I think that's what that's referring to. Yeah,
must be.
Yep.
So, I mean, you could go on a month to month if that were the case. So 1 month you could have, 5 or however many number of creator licenses, and then the next month you could drop that down to 0, and then you can have your active users ticking over as well. So the answer is yes.
Next one is content only deployable through the Facilitate application, or is it possible to provide a white labeled app for each client? Ooh, that's a good one.
So, well, there's a bit of yes and a bit of no. So it needs to run through the Facilitate app, but there's a number of things in the Facilitate application that can be white labeled. So where you see, basically, and beyond the point of logging in, when you see our logo, you can have your logo or your client's logo there. And then there's some things in the portal as well. You can change the welcome message and the like to customize that to your client needs.
Is it worth mentioning SCORM here? It's not exactly the same thing.
Actually, that's a good point. So you could be creating content and distributing it to your client, and your client might have an administrator who would actually then use that content in their SCORM compliant LMS. So then, it would essentially be that the learners would then be using their existing LMS, seeing all the branding of that LMS, etc. And all they need is a code that they put into the Facilitate app, which would then would link back to the Facilitate system. And that works with both synchronous and asynchronous sessions as well. Good. So we've got a few more coming through. Thanks, Nick. What is the pricing of the partner program? So there is no cost to the partner program. If you're creating content, as you need a creator license, but apart from that, the partner program, we basically, all those things there. We're really keen for our partners to have the greatest impact they can with this technology. So that's why we invest in time and effort in the training, providing the support, and yeah, so there's no cost.
Cool. Any preferred, Sean? Any preferred VR setups, etc. Recommended? VR setups is in hardware. I assume you mean.
Assume so,
yeah, would have thought so.
Yeah.
No, we get asked this quite a bit, don't we?
Yeah.
Tessa, do you want to just go back to the compatibility quickly? Yeah. So Facilitate is compatible and we'll work on Quest 1 and 2, Pico Neo 3, HTC Focus 3, and all Windows devices. So that's the current compatibility. So at a minimum, pardon me.
Yeah, and it should also work on the the Quest Pro as well.
Yeah, of course, the Quest Pro. But in terms of recommendations, it really depends on your budget and what you're trying to achieve in terms of which of those headsets is the better one. Look, this is one we could probably have a bit of a chat with offline. If you've got something that's particular in mind, just flick us an email and we're happy to make some recommendations based on that. But they're all good headsets. So yeah. I think that's it, eh? Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. All right. Well, we might just quickly go through next steps and wait another minute or so if there's any more questions. But look, fairly straightforward from here on in, guys. Please get in touch, especially if you're interested in the partner program. There's, we can't put everything on a couple of slides, so there's a lot more to be had there. So get in touch. There's a free 28-day trial of Facilitate, so anyone can sign up anytime, and you get full functionality there, right? So during your 28 days, you get access to everything. So give it a try, by all means. And if, like I said, if it's of interest, then have a chat with us and you can sign up as a partner, and there's quite a few benefits that are worth doing. And as we said, there's no cost to you in that sense. And then number 4, I think, is one worth pulling out as well. So if that's a little bit daunting, but you are getting some nibbles from clients saying, look, can we do something other than an e-learn or something, then, just remember we can support you with that first project. If you've got a good idea. And then after that, ROI, revenue share, that's all on the table. Sky's the limit. So cool. Any more questions, or is it dried up?
I think
that's us, eh?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
All right. Cool. That was very efficient. We're almost, there you go, 10:30 now.
Yeah. Right. Well, it's short and sharp. So
yeah.
Thanks for your time, guys.
Yep. Thank you very much for joining us, and please don't hesitate to get in touch if interested to find out more. Okay. Thanks, guys.